Hello, my name is Aldo, and this is the first edition of Bookbound. And today we're going to talk about Pele, the autobiography written by himself, Edson Arantes do Nascimento. That's Pele's name. Something very interesting in the book that Pele states is that he didn't think of himself as a black person or in Brazil. He felt that he was from this race called famous race because he says here that he suffered very little with from racism in Brazil, and you can assume that he only did not suffer racism in Brazil because he was rich and because he was famous, and then you can conclude that in Brazil, if you are famous, if you're successful in life, then you are not going to suffer with from racism or anything attached to your color. Another interesting thing that you can see in Pele's life is that being born poor and having attained just the magnitude of his success, being recognized all over the world, and Pele never changed his personality. He always remembered where he was from, and he was always a very humble and simple person, despite his fame and everything. And I can attribute this humility to his parents. Despite being poor, they're very hardworking, and they instill these values that you can see throughout Pele's life, which is respect and love for one another. And it's very interesting to see how they kept Pele on track. There are many stories of poor kids who attain success through soccer and then get their lives ruined. But then Pele never did that. In fact, he was as successful on field as he was off field. As a matter of fact, a third of the book is devoted to his life off the soccer field. He worked for UNICEF, and then he also worked as a sports minister in Brazil. And through that position, he was able to bring many improvements to legislature, because back then, the way contracts were made, they did not have the best interest of the athlete in mind. And Pele was able to change that. Pele wasn't a very successful businessman. He was very gullible, and he lost a lot of money because of it. And sometimes he even had to play more soccer in order to pay his debts and pay for whatever the mismanagement of the people who handle his money. Another part of his life that's going to be in the book and not many people know about outside of Brazil is that his son got in trouble with the law because of drugs, and that's a very hard time for Pele because he always stayed off drugs, and he didn't smoke except for a very small time in parties in New York. He was a very health conscious person. Of course, he made his life from sports, and then when he's faced with his son being involved with drugs, he's lost and he doesn't know what to do. But then again, he thinks of his father and what he would have done, and that helped him get through that hard moment. The last thing I want to talk about is how Pele came to the United States and he played for Cosmos, this soccer team in New York, and how he hoped to bring soccer to the United States through that.